The Bundoran Weekly is brought to you by AIB, supporting local businesses in Bundoran. For more, see aib.ie.
Hi everyone, it's Shane Smyth, Bundoran Tourism Officer. It is Friday the 28th of April 2023 and I'm here with you for the Bundoran Weekly Podcast, episode 229. It is the podcast that talks about everything Bundoran, and coming up on the podcast this week, recently you might have seen the Bundoran Express train make a return to the rails and head for Connolly Station in Dublin. It happened on the first weekend in April. We are going to be chatting to Charles Friel, who's a railway enthusiast, and he is a member of the Railway Preservation Society of Ireland, who looked after the journey of that particular locomotive, and we'll be talking to him about that and whether or not the actual Bundoran Express was restored. So you can stay tuned for that. We'll be chatting to Charles in a few minutes' time. Teresa O'Neill will also be with us in our community corner from Bundoran Community Centre to let us know what is going on there. But hope that we do find you well. Another bank holiday weekend. They're coming in thick and fast, and if you're in Northern Ireland, then you've got 3 bank holidays in the month of May. So hopefully we'll be seeing a lot of you down here over those weekends here in Bundoran. Let us start, as always, with our entertainment guide, and in the Allingham it is music with Stillwater tonight, and the Contractor tonight then from 10 p.m. until midnight. Cara McGillian tomorrow night in the Coolmore Bar, and Jimmy Buckley and his band in the Ballroom. There's an afternoon show on Sunday afternoon with Mick Flavin and Brian Kerrigan. You'll find Kieran Mackery in the Coolmore Bar on Sunday night, and that's followed by Robert Mizell and his band, and they are in the Ballroom at the Allingham this bank holiday Sunday. Next door then to the Bird's Nest, it's Sinead Black tonight. Tomorrow night it is music with White Lightning and Brendan German there on Sunday night. It is the grand final of the Unsigned session tonight at the Chase and Bull. The last couple of weeks have seen all of the semi-finals happen, and the grand final takes place tonight. I think there are 7 bands taking part in that, and the outright winner will win a chance to play on the main stage at C Sessions this coming June. So good luck to everybody involved in that, and no doubt there'll be some great live music, and it is all free of charge at the Chase and Bull tonight. Music tomorrow night, and then on Sunday night also music with True Tones. Brian Patton doing acoustic set tonight at George's Bar. There's a retro disco tomorrow night from 9 p.m, and from 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon it is their usual trad session. Lots of music live this weekend at the Phoenix Tavern as well at East End. It's the Sunday Roast Band tonight. Tomorrow night music with Happy Wanderers. A double bill on Sunday. It is Johnny Gallagher at 9 p.m, followed by Mad Notions at 11 o'clock. And don't forget the Late Bar on Saturday night, open until 2 a.m. Brand new trad session on tonight at the Madden's Bridge Bar there on the bridge. Sean and Lorraine O'Brien, Michael McGrath and Mark Egan all playing from 9:30 p.m. tonight at Madden's Bridge Bar. Paul Simpson tomorrow night at the Railway Bar. Tonight at the Atlantic Bar at 51 Main Street it is music with Kevin Cassidy and music with Jerry McGinley there tomorrow night. Paris is open tomorrow night as well, and of course you can check our website for the latest updates as we keep adding information as we get it to discoverbundoran.com/events is where you'll find all of the information there, and you can search that going into the next couple of weeks and the next couple of months as well to see what is happening and coming up in Bundoran. If you would prefer to go to the cinema, well, you can go and see Polite Society or Evil Dead Rise or Big George Foreman. They're all screening this weekend at the Eclipse Cinemas, and our Missed Up Monday is Scream 6. So if you didn't get a chance to see that and you're at a loss on Bank Holiday Monday evening, then Scream 6 is showing as part of the Missed Up Monday at Eclipse Cinemas. You can find the full schedule on our website or indeed at eclipsecinemas.com. And just a few things to note that is coming up next week. There's an Alzheimer's Tea Day at Bundoran Community Centre. That's on next Thursday. Also next Thursday at the Abbey Arts Centre, it's the Kings of Cool album launch. So a big night of music there with the local band Kings of Cool. That's next Thursday night at the Abbey Arts Centre. And next Friday, it is the start of the Micheál O'Cleary Summer School. We recently had a chat to Fergus Cleary from the Micheál O'Cleary Summer School on our podcast, and you can go back a couple of weeks and have a listen to that. But that is kicking off next Friday the 5th of May at the Sandhouse Hotel in Rossnano, where it'll be based for most of the weekend as well. Still to come, we are going to be chatting to Charles Friel of the Railway Preservation Society of Ireland. He's going to be talking to us about the restored, or maybe not, Bundoran Express train, which was on the tracks a couple of weeks ago. And we'll also be talking to Teresa O'Neill. She'll be in our community corner from Bundoran Community Centre. Do stay with us.
The Bundoran Weekly.
I'm Shane Smyth, and we're here with AIB.ie supporting local businesses in Bundoran and Ballyshannon for episode 229 of the Bundoran Weekly podcast. Now, a couple of weeks ago, you may have seen pictures or video of the Bundoran Express train hurtling its way into Connolly Station in Dublin. That got us thinking, wow, is the Bundoran Express train back? I did a little digging and I came up with Charles Friel of the Railway Preservation Society of Ireland, and he put me straight on whether it was the real Bundoran Express that had been restored or something else.
Well, it was a recreation of what would have happened way back then. The engine was one of the engines which would have worked the Bundoran Express between Dublin and Dundalk. On the main line, either from Dublin down to Dundalk or from Dundalk back up to Dublin again. Smaller engines took over to work the train across from Dundalk across through Clonus and then Enniskillen into Bundoran. But to all intents and purposes, it looked like it, and it certainly felt like it. The Express headboard was an original from way back then, had been collected by a railway enthusiast in Dublin who died, and his stuff went up for auction. And Selwyn Johnson of Headhunters Museum in Enniskillen in Darling Street, he bought it. So we were running that train that Sunday. It was really to get the engine an excuse to, his way of getting the engine from Whitehead to Dublin. And we thought, right, we'll work passengers from Dundalk up to Dublin. So Selwyn brought the headboard. We put it up on the engine and it looked just the piece, as you saw then in the web pages and so on. And it was a recreation of what it would have looked like. The carriages were more modern. The engine could have done it. The headboard most certainly did it. And it's recreated. It's a lovely moment, though, because try and step back all those years back to 1957. Longer ago than I care to remember, but we can't deny the fact that it was 67 years ago that the last Bundoran Express ran. So it was recreating that bit of the past and maybe get a wee feel for what it would have been like.
Charles, the locomotive itself that drew that train last week was pretty special in that it was 100 years old.
Oh, it's over 100 years old, built 1901, and it ran then for a good while, and then 1920, the Great Northern rebuilt them as bigger, a wee bit of a faster, more powerful engines than they were. So what she looks like now is exactly what she looked like when she was rebuilt in Dundalk in 1920. And she's proven to be a very popular engine. When the Great Northern broke up, she went to CIE, and she was, for many years, a stationary boiler in Inchicore, and then it was going for scrap. And Pierce McCone, God be good to him, was a fitter in Inchicore, and he insisted that something be done to preserve it. And it was preserved then, it and two other engines, and 131 sat for years on a plinth at Dundalk on the sort of inland side as you head north from Dublin at the station, at Clark Station there. And then it went off to Mallow for a while because a crowd of guys there had a case for restoring it to steam. But eventually Irish Rail got fed up with them and took all the bits back that they could gather up. And it was then sold to the RPSI, and we didn't do anything with it for many years. And then luckily enough, we got a grant from, it was European money through a thing called GROW, Generating Rural Opportunities, within South Antrim. And they had money, and it was going to have to go back to Brussels. And they said to us, look, we've done all the schemes. Could you spend, well, it was £700,000 or something between now and 18 months' time? We said, right, just give us a chance. So we did, and we rebuilt her and provided a new tender for her. And she's back on the main line this, 6 or 7 years now, mostly working north of the border, up to Portrush and Bangor and various places like that. And a lot of stuff around Whitehead too. But she's gone up to Dublin now there's a big steam trip coming over from England in the early days of May for about 9 days. So she'll be one of the engines, which we'll see her then going from Dublin across to Galway, and from Galway south to Limerick. And then she takes up the range again at Limerick Junction and works all the way across to Waterford and up to Kildare. So she's going to be well off her beaten track by then. And unfortunately, no nearer Bundoran than she was the other Sunday.
This was the locomotive's first time south of the border.
Yeah. You see, she hadn't been south of the border since, well, she went south in 59 and then she stayed south, but she she hadn't actually been in steam south of the border for since what 62 or something like that. So yes, it was a milestone in very many ways, and the Dundalk people are very fond of her too because they've been looking at her mounted and stuffed and sitting there doing nothing for years, and all of a sudden here she is back to life and hauling a very full train of people. The weather was miserable, but sure that didn't dampen things one bit. It was just great to do.
As you said there, it really seemed to draw really big crowds on the day, really popular.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was, yeah, yeah. There's a very active society in Dundalk, a Great Northern Society, and they rounded up all sorts of people, and we had a lot of other people just very keen to be there too. Yeah.
So tell me about
hmm
what the Railway Preservation Society of Ireland does. I guess it does what it says on the
Well,
tin.
I hope so. Well, we don't. Well, yes, it's a bit of a misnomer because we don't really canvass to maintain railways per se across the island of Ireland, but we are very much in the business of operating steam trains across Ireland. We're formed in Belfast way back in '64, but we're an all Ireland body, and we have a very active south of the border and north of the border. And normally we would have two trains operating, one based in Whitehead, one based in Dublin, and they would do their own thing, operating Santa trains and Easter bunnies and Halloween and all that sort of stuff. And the heavy engineering all happens at Whitehead, so the big overhauls happen there. But we have a base. We do get facilities in Dublin from Irish Rail, but the heavy stuff happens in Whitehead. So every now and again, we have to swap engines and carriages between the two jurisdictions, if you like, which helps us. And then it's a good excuse for running an excursion up to Dublin, and that's the way that works. So we're an all volunteer body. We raise all our own funds and so on. We do employ people now, thanks to Heritage Lottery Fund have given us some funding, and we're able now to employ a full-time engineer, full-time general manager, and so on. But we have to shift our business because when we started, we were running trains for railway enthusiasts. Now we're running trains for the public, family excursions, office outings, you name it, all sorts of charter trips and so on. So the focus has shifted. We're now enthusiasts running trains for everybody, and everybody can book through the websites and so on. So if the trains are running, you keep an eye on www.steamtrainsireland.com, and there's a page will open there for click on events stroke meetings. Click on that, you'll get the latest exactly what's happening next out of Dublin, out of Belfast, or wherever we're going. It's all available to the public, and you can book online, and it's all done remotely, and you're guaranteed a seat.
You know, when we talk about the train here in Bundoran, it really evokes a lot of emotion and a lot of nostalgia, and particularly so
Yeah.
those couple of years ago when we celebrated the 60th anniversary of the last train leaving Bundoran. But really, really popular and really nostalgic.
Oh, it is. Yeah. I mean, the Bundoran Express was just one of the trains come into Bundoran every day of the week in the summertime, and I mean, on Sundays you had six or seven trains delivering maybe four or 500 people at a time into Bundoran. My own aunt would her idea of an ideal summer Sunday in Derry was to get the train to Bundoran, go down to the Rogie Rocks and dance all day and outdoors if it wasn't raining, of course, and then get the train home. And I thought that was great. And there's a huge nostalgia, as you say, for that, and people remembering simpler times and better times, I think, in many ways. And but that huge traffic into Bundoran, the Bundoran Express was, if you like, the pinnacle of everything. Its main purpose, by the way, was to get people from Dublin and Belfast and everywhere else quickly through County Fermanagh by running non-stop from Clones to Pettigo. And that's why it was called the Express, because it got round customs examinations and so on, that which really did handicap a lot of travel back in those days. And the Express got through that because once it didn't stop in the north. So once it left Clones, it ran non-stop to Pettigo, which was in Donegal. So you were from across the border twice, and so it didn't count for the customs were couldn't come near you. So that did a lot to get trade going and keep trade going. Of people, a lot of people could have been as many people coming to Lough as there were into Bundoran and Ballyshannon as well. But it ran every day of the week. The Express ran every day of the week from the start, end of May when Lough opened, and then Lough would close on the 15th of August, and the Express kept running then until the end of that month. So it was the Railway took a great pride in it too, and you daren't stop it in the north. So you spend forever filling in customs forms and helping police with their inquiries and all sorts of stuff. But it worked. It worked well, and it was so popular that sometimes its limit was 8 coaches, and sometimes it had to be two, maybe certainly one, very occasionally two other trains run to take the business that was there to get the people moving. It was huge. It's hard to imagine now when you see the bus coming in from Enniskillen in the morning and think, that could be an 8 coach train. It's a different scale of things, but people didn't have cars in those days, and they relied on the train a lot.
So do you think we'll see the locomotive out with the Bundoran Express headboard again in the future?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, that'll depend on Selwyn, I think, and the people in Headhunters. We'd love to see it back again. Unfortunately, the only place it really fits is between Dundalk and Dublin, but we'd certainly like to do that. But there are all sorts of other plans going on at the moment, but they'll be on the website as they come to fruition and shape up. We've bit of trouble in the north at the moment with we had one steam driver who unfortunately died, aged only 62, and getting his replacements proving a wee bit troublesome. But we're still operating south of the border as before, so you can expect lots of trains happening out of Dublin. And we're still lots of stuff happening at our own base at Whitehead, of course, in County Antrim. We're just not out on the main line as much as we'd like to be at the moment. But that could well change. If you keep an eye on the website, all the latest changes will be there the day they're announced, so people can take a chance on that. And we have a very good museum at Whitehead as well, and a very good cafe. So if people are looking for a day out from Bundoran, if they get past Headhunters, you can come all the way across to Whitehead. But it's a bit of a long trek.
Just picking you up on something you mentioned there about steam train drivers. They're different then from diesel drivers.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Driving steam is very different from driving diesels. But to drive steam, you have to first of all be a diesel driver on the railway company, Irish Rail or Yarn Road Iron. And then you go through special training then to get up to speed, to qualify for driving or firing steam engines. And that involves about a week or 10 days of classroom work, and then about a week or fortnight of practical experience. And to do that, the Preservation Society pays for all this, of course. To do that, then we have to ship them off to somewhere like the Fort William Mallock line in Scotland, or the North York Moors Railway, where again they're supervised. And there's a couple of companies in England, and Carnforth is one of the West Coast Rail, who will certify that yes, you're now fit to drive, you're now fit to fire. It's a bit of a long process, but you have to get started. And we have 2 steam drivers, 2 steam firemen south of the border, and 2 firemen north of the border. But unfortunately, this driver Noel sadly left us very quickly in February. So it's a bit of a long trail, but it has to be done because the railway company want to be sure that these things are operating safely. And there's all sorts of inspections of all the work that goes on, all the work that we do to engines and carriages. And then I have to make sure these guys they have to know all the rules of the road and how to operate the train anyway. And then on top of that, it's a steam engine, so that's different again. So it's a bit of a long trail, but we'll get there, please God.
Charles, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you really soon.
And you, Shane. Okay.
The Bundoran Weekly.
Thanks, Charles. We'll leave a website link in our podcast show notes for this week. Now let's move on to Bundoran Community Centre. In our community corner, here's Teresa.
Our new Bundoran Parent and Toddler group starts on Wednesday the 3rd of May at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. This is a new setup and layout and will be on every Wednesday. Have you signed up for this year's Bundoran Bay Swim? This year it will be on Saturday the 29th of July at 2 p.m. To register, please go to www.bundoranbayswim.com. We have the youth hangout every Wednesday at 4:15 to 5:30. If you're 12 to 17 years old and want a safe place to meet, play pool, board games and have some hot chocolate, come and join. Join us on Thursday the 4th of May to raise money for Alzheimer's. This tea day will be in our reception area from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. We have the wonderful Handmade at Bundoran and Beyond craft and food market here in the reception area of the community centre on Saturday the 6th and Sunday the 7th of May. Drop in from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. where we will have local crafters with bakes, jewellery, candles, artwork, toys, resins and crocheting. If you would like to know more about what is going on, please sign up for our newsletter. Call into the community centre to sign up or check out our website on www.bundorancommunitycentre.com and go to our news and updates. The Raise Outreach is here every first Friday of the month. They will help with interview preparations, help with job applications, CV preparations and much more. Their next attendance in the community centre is Friday the 5th of May from 12:30 to 2:30. Did you know we have printing services here in the centre? We can print, photocopy and scan. Our opening hours for our printing services are Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
That is going to do it for this week. We hope that you enjoyed the podcast and listening to our guest Charles Friel. Don't forget, next weekend also, it was remiss of me not to say that next weekend is Darkness into Light, and that is happening on Saturday morning the 6th of May at 4:15 a.m. It is starting off from Bundoran Community Centre. It'll head down the main street, it'll turn at the tourist office, go around the promenade, up around Rogie and back up down the main street and finishing at Cosgrove's SuperValue. Darknessintolight.ie is the website if you want to join up on the night and do the walk, or if you want to get in touch with the guys from the local Darkness into Light Bundoran. They are still looking for some volunteers to help out on the night, and your help would be appreciated if you're not into doing the walk. So that is happening next weekend, Saturday morning, the 6th of May. Darknessintolight.ie and Darkness into Light Bundoran on Facebook is where you'll get more information on that. That is it. We will talk to you again next weekend. Thank you for getting in touch. Don't forget you can follow us wherever you're listening now, or indeed stream and download all episodes on demand at bundoranweekly.com. If you're using Instagram and you're creating some stories, then search for Bundoran in the Giphy section, and you can also tag your photos on Instagram with the hashtag #DiscoverBundoran for your chance to be featured on our feed as well. That is it. Have a great bank holiday weekend. We will talk to you again next week. Good luck.
The Bundoran Weekly is a production of Discover Bundoran.
The Bundoran Weekly is brought to you by AIB, supporting local businesses in Bundoran. For more, see aib.ie.